was afraid that I was supposed to sing something, and being in the political campaign, I'm sure that singing would make me lose a lot of votes. But nevertheless, it's a great honor for me to be the keynote speaker in this conference. I've always found very difficult to have the speech before dinner, and I suppose that everybody is waiting for the food, not for speeches. I appreciated how George Papandreou and Enrico Letta, they choose a much better time in the schedule to have the speech. But I'll still use this opportunity, first of all, to welcome all of you in Bucharest, to express my gratitude for the whole The Economist team for choosing Bucharest to organize this event, and to wish you all a very good conference and a very good time in Bucharest and in Romania. As you may see, the government took care of the weather so you can enjoy Bucharest, and I am used that if in Romania there is a bad weather, it's because of the government. So if it is a nice weather, I think to take advantage and profit of it. I would say that Bucharest is the right choice for the time to organize this conference, because of course we are in a very complicated region, in very complicated times, and I'm not thinking about the elections in Romania. We always have elections. Every year there is an election in Romania, and so this is not the special time I was talking about. I'm talking about the big challenges for the region, and the way that my country and my government is trying to confront all the challenges, and even to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are appearing in these special times. Maybe I should just say a few figures, because it's the Economist event, and I know that you love figures. I know these figures so well that if you wake up me in the night, I can tell you the economic growth of Romania last year was 3.5. The unemployment is below 7%. It's the deficit. The most important thing in today's Europe is the deficit. How low, how small it was the deficit. Last year it was 2.4, and I was thinking to increase it a little bit just to boost the development of the country. But I had such a good finance and budget minister that this year, after the 9th month, Romanian government has a 0.2 deficit. And that will make maybe the Economist very happy, but maybe I will lose elections for this. George knows that very well, that austerity is so much appreciated, especially by foreign people coming to the country, not necessarily by the own citizens. But nevertheless, in this positive figures environment, I can say that in the same time this year, and in the same year and budget, we have succeeded to increase the pensions and wages with 5%, and also to decrease the labor taxes with 5%. So both of them, they can go together, and they can simply help Romanian economy to recover after maybe one of the worst periods of the country. 2010, 2011, it was a terrible economic and social period, and to be competitive. And what makes me even more optimistic is that in the last year we have increased with the average of 10% the exportation, the industrial output, and first time in the last 22 years, since '94 it was the last time, when we had a positive balance regarding the agricultural and the food exportation and imports. So these are the figures, but once again, people are not made happy by figures. They are rather happy if you show them a vision about the country. And I've been trying in the last 2 years and a half to build this vision and this path for the country, and I have been trying to keep that direction. By the way, I was in 2012, in May, I was the youngest Prime Minister in the European Union. Since then, many other Prime Ministers have broken my record, including the Italian one, but not only him. But being the youngest or the oldest, it's not important at all. But I just checked after my good friend, Mr. Di Rupo, stepped down as Prime Minister of Belgium, and I've checked that in the last 2 years and a half, 17 Prime Ministers and head of governments, they changed the position and they are newer in the position than I am. I don't know if I should be happy to be one of the 10 who resisted, or to be very much worried how easy it is to be Prime Minister, and it's much easier to lose your job during this difficult time in Europe. So I still believe that Romania has to change, and Romania needs a clear direction. And I would tell you something that only the Romanians will understand from the beginning, but I will explain you. One of the fundamental legends of the Romanian people, it's about Master Manole, Meșterul Manole, the Romanians, you know it very well. And very briefly, it's about a builder who was building a church, and everything that he was building during the day was destroyed during the night. And I think that us Romanians, we are happy, we are very happy to see that this curse is something that we cannot change. And we have been already used to believe that everything that we are building one day is destroyed during the night, and we have to start over and over and over and never to finish. And that's why I proposed to my government, the coalition which is supporting the government and the people who voted for us in December 2012, we had a 60% popular vote for the government. We have proposed them to change all the weaknesses of the country in strength. And of course, that was not very easy. There are still people who do not believe that this is possible. But I will give some examples just to be more clear. The energy. I think that Romania is a more fortunate country than the other in the regions, because we do not completely depend on the importation from our big and very unpredictable neighbor, Russia. But being confronted with what happened to other neighbors, which are practically every day under pressure, under blackmail for the energy, in the last 2 years and a half, maybe one of the most strategic decisions that we have taken was to try to be energy independent. And for this, not only we have adopted very radical legislation improvements, also we have had successful IPOs for all the state-owned energy companies, and now they have professional management independent from the politics, so independent that some of them met them for the first time tonight in this room. And I think it's better like this than to have always a politician asking them something to do or to change. But we have also resisted to the temptation to be always popular and to give right to everybody who was protesting. And I can share with you that one of the most difficult moments of my mandate were the environmentalist protests against the permits to explore for the shale gas. And I have tried to explain that the United States is exploring the shale gas and the price is €1/4. I didn't succeed. I have explained that it's just the exploration and we don't know if we have reserves or not. I didn't succeed. I have explained them that it's important to have all kinds of energy. I did not succeed. And then finally, almost exhausted, I said, look, it was about the American company Chevron. And I said, I don't like Chevron either. But in any case, I think it's better than Gazprom. So please, let us be energy independent. Let us encourage all the investments in the energy. Let us try to be modernizing our infrastructure and trying to be as independent as we can. So a weakness of the country, I have tried to change it into a strength, and I am very optimistic that based on the new investments on the offshore and onshore, conventional and unconventional resources, Romania will be able in a few years, 3, 4, maximum 5, to be not only energy independent, but also to provide at least our most important neighbor and brother, Republic of Moldova, with all the domestic and industrial consumption. This is about the gas, because in the electric energy sector, now we have an overproduction, and I hope that our strategy to improve the transportation infrastructure will help us to be able to export some electric energy to the region. Then we were the last country among the 27 members, excluding Croatia, when it came to use the cohesion and structural funds. When I took the government, the absorption rate was 7%, but that was not the worst thing to have 7%. The worst thing was that all operational programs were suspended because of the lack of administrative capacity, because of suspicion of corruption and misuse of these funds. It was almost a nightmare to try to unblock all these programs, to change all the management authorities, to change the legislation. But now, in 2013, we had the fastest increase in the absorption of the European funds, and right now we are approaching 50%, but we still have in front next year another 50% of the cohesion funds to be absorbed, and I'm going to be confronted with an important dilemma. We have to put in the budget the money that we are supposed to co-finance the European funds. In the same time, the European Commission is asking Romania to go to 1.4 public deficit. And I have no idea how I can put a few billions of euros to co-finance with 15% and to take 85% from the European Union, and in the same time to reduce the deficit to 1.4. And I was wondering if it's not better for Europe that Romania is having maybe 2% deficit, but it's absorbing 7-8 billion euros directly invested in the infrastructure and the economic projects. This is just one question about bureaucracy in Europe and reality on our countries. And I'm sure that the new Commission and Mr. Juncker and the new commissioners will understand something that in Romanian we say that the greedy is losing more. I don't know if the translation in English is very clear, but if we are concentrating only on the deficit and we are not using the money for absorbing the European funds, the development of Romania would be, of course, slower. Then we had another weakness. Few million Romanians, the most dynamic part of the society, young people, well-skilled and well-trained. Since 2005-06, they have moved, especially in Italy and Spain, but also UK, France, and that was a huge loss for the energy of the Romanian society. because you can imagine 2.5 million young, well-trained people leaving the country. That was a huge challenge and a weakness for the country. Now, because the Romanian economy is becoming more competitive, I can tell you that almost every day, if not more often, I attend events of big, important companies opening new plants in Romania, opening new service centers, opening new investments, and I hope, and I just came back from Italy and Spain where I met the Romanian communities. I hope that many of the young people who learned how to work, how to have initiative in the more advanced European countries, they will come back in Romania and they will work having better salaries and bringing their experience in the country. Then I can tell you about security, because Romania is the eastern border of NATO and the European Union. And somebody was asking me in New York if I am worried about what is happening at the Black Sea. And I said, a year ago, Russia's border was 500 kilometers from Romania. This year is 250 kilometers. I hope they will keep it like this. They are not coming closer. But of course I'm worried, and we should be worried. Not only for Romania, but more than this, for our neighbors and for the people, first of all, of Moldova. You will always hear about Moldova when you come to Bucuresti, but also about Ukraine, Georgia, and all the other countries and people who have the right to have a clear democratic choice. So, of course, it's a weakness to be here at the Black Sea, but it's also an opportunity to invest more in security, and Romania is more and more open and investing in its security industry, but also to provide security to our neighbors and to show them that this is the real path to follow. Then a half of the Romanian population is still living at the countryside. This is a weakness, of course, but in the same time benefiting from more and more subsidies from the European Union, but also investing more and changing something which was maybe very easy but never has been done before, to pay the subsidies at the right moment. We have succeeded to increase the agriculture incomes and output with 15, 20, 25%. I'm telling you, the European Union is providing Romania with the subsidies for agriculture in the first week of January. But the farmers, they don't need the money in the first week of January. In Romania, in the first week of January, people is waking up from the New Year's Eve and is preparing for the St. John event. So nobody's waiting for money in the first week. That's why we have advanced from our budget all the money right now in October when they need to invest in the land, and we will take back the money in 3 months. First time when I asked this, all the specialists of the Minister of Finance, they told me that it's impossible. We have done it for the last 3 years, and now agriculture is one of the engine of growth of Romania, and more important than this, the organic food, it's something that it's becoming a brand of Romania. So I can continue with you. I was telling you that our biggest weakness was the low absorption of the cohesion funds. But we have worked and we have unblocked, we have had important results. And when Mr. Juncker called me about the commissioner, and he said, Victor, you cannot keep for a second man the agriculture, because this is the system, so what would you like, what do you think that Romania would need? I said, all right, we need the regional development. portfolio. Everybody criticizes me in Romania because I was a fool. Nobody will give us regional development. Now the Romanian commissioner, it's the commissioner for regional development, and I think that our experience will benefit for the whole region, which has been confronted with more or less the same problems. So I would just finish. I can see that you are all hungry, so I'm sure that I do not have to convince you to vote for me in the presidential election, so I can be shorter than usual. I would just say that I see Romania as having now a very, very important role in the region. We simply have to prove to Moldova, to Ukraine, to Georgia, but also to Serbia, to all the Western Balkans countries, that the path that has been followed by Romania, by Bulgaria, by the Baltic states, this is the right path. I am very honored to be a friend, not only a colleague, but a friend with the Moldovan Prime Minister, with Yuri Lanka, with Georgian one, with the Ukrainian one, with Mr. Yatsenyuk. But also, I know that this is strange, but I consider as being my friends the Prime Minister of Serbia and the Prime Minister of Albania. I know the football issue, of course, but both of them, they are my friends. And I keep telling them, my friends, look to Romania, try to learn from our good experience, try to avoid our mistakes. If you are clever enough, you will avoid the mistakes that have been done by Romania, and you will do all the good things in the European integration, in developing the institutions, in developing the economic environment, and proving that Eastern Europe is not anymore the problem of Europe, but is rather a huge potential region which should be discovered by a lot of people. So I think that this is the most important role of Romania now for the region. It's to be the most committed partner of all these countries, which are our neighbors and our friends, and to keep telling what George was saying in the afternoon to Mr. Juncker. If these countries are prepared, they should be accepted to be member of the European Union sooner than the finish of the mandate of this Commission. We cannot tell them, you are going to reform, you are going to suffer, you are going to fight, but no way. We have too many problems. We don't want you in the European Union. We have entered Romania, now close the doors to everybody else. I think that Romania should remain the most committed advocate of all these countries, beginning with Moldova always, and to convince our European partners that a stronger Europe is going to be a Europe which includes Moldova, Ukraine, Georgia, Serbia, Albania, and all the countries in the Western Balkans. But more than this, we must prove them that Romania is a successful story of integration and development. If we succeed this, I think that I will prove even to my people that the legend of Master Manole is just a legend, and we can build during the day, then rest during the night, and continue our work, not starting over and over and over again. I wish you a very good evening here. I wish you good appetite. I'm sure now that you are starving, and next time that I will see you, I will share you the other legend of Romania, which is Miorița, the Romanian shepherd, which is expecting his friends to kill him. If you can imagine, this is a fundamental legend of Romania. We have the shepherd waiting his friends to kill him. I don't want to live anymore in these legends. I want to change all these legends and to prove to all of you that Romania is a country with a huge potential, with wonderful opportunities, and a country which can provide for the region stability and prosperity. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good appetite.
mult, Gaston!